Luxury to me is quality service. It's all about service. So if you are single and you have a will, but you only take title in your first and last name, does it still go to probate? Can someone steal the title of your home?
Absolutely. If a document is prepared correctly and it's notarized, whether it's fraudulent or not, and you take it to the county recorder, they will record it.
Welcome to Luxury on Call with Alexandra Miklosova, also known as the listing agent. This is the #1 podcast for the service-obsessed modern homeowner, the one who values peace of mind, appreciates vetted referrals, and believes that only the best is good enough. Each week, you'll hear from certified experts, luxury vendors, and trusted voices who help you add value to your estate and elevate your lifestyle. Because luxury isn't about having more, it's about knowing who to call. This is Luxury on Call.
Welcome to Luxury on Call. My name is Alexandra, your host. And if you know me already, you know that luxury to me is quality service. It's all about service. Let's just say today's guests mastered this concept. They've been helping me and assisting me for over a couple of years now. And every single time they pick up the phone, which let's just say it's very rare here in Los Angeles, they always on point and they deliver constantly, every single time. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome our guests, my two trusted favorite title professionals from Lawyers Title, Luca and Frank. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. Glad to be here.
So I have to ask you as a warm-up, what is luxury to you?
Luxury to me is more of like an experience, that I get to spend time with my family and treasure a moment. I'd have to think more, about something materialistic that I would find luxury, but yeah.
Amazing. How about you?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, I'm not really materialistically motivated. So luxury, I don't need to buy a really fancy car or anything, but I think just being happy and appreciating things in life is a luxury we should appreciate.
I mean, honestly, luxury to me is like when people come to me, like getting my nails done at home or drinking a juice or a milk out of a fancy wine glass, and it just makes it feel, luxurious. All right, let's dive into it. I feel like being in real estate in such a long time, I feel like real estate transactions are so emotional, right? A lot of people don't really care about how you hold title until, I don't know, someone dies or, disappears, or gets divorced. Right. So what exactly does it mean to hold a title? And what is at stake as far as how you hold the title and how you record it?
And you're right. I think it is probably overlooked, especially when you're in the transaction. There's so many things going on. Yeah. It's difficult to look at just how should you hold title, and what are the different ways of holding title. But it's a very important question. Mm-hmm. And, Frank and I, we're not CPAs, we're not attorneys. Right. So we can't advise, ultimately the buyer is going to become the owner of the property, how to take title, but we can at least tell them the different ways
to hold it.
Yeah.
So Frank, who is the appropriate professional? I mean, obviously as an agent, we can advise, who is that professional?
Either your primary tax advisor, or if you have a financial planner that you work with, a CPA, if you have a business manager, depending on, what type of business you're in. Anyone who can advise on the tax situation, because that's really the most important part when it comes to distributing an estate. People are concerned about, how much taxes am I going to pay, or how can I avoid paying taxes? And to avoid probate, where, you end up in a court proceeding to distribute the properties that you own, where you could alleviate that by holding title in a different way.
Right. So it's really goes along the line of estate planning and who manages your finances, because the title, who you want it to go to and all of that is going to impact everything. So let's say you're a single man, you own multiple properties. I oftentimes see them just take title on their name, first name, last name, that's it. Mm-hmm. Are they making a big mistake? Do you feel like it's okay? Is it acceptable since they are single?
Well, for financial planning purposes, that wouldn't be the wisest way to hold title, because if anything happens to that person, everything that they own in their estate is going to be probated through a court proceeding with their will and whatever. And there could be problems from people who think they have the right to a certain property. So by putting it in a trust, you can alleviate that probate process, and you can set up however you want your assets to be distributed through your trust.
So if you are single and you have a will, but you only take title in your first and last name, does it still go to probate?
Yes. A will is nothing more than instructions to a probate attorney or judge what your wishes are for your estate.
Got it.
It just says, this is what I want to happen when I pass away. I want this picture to go to my grandmother. I want that sort of thing, where the real property has to be distributed through a probate process,
which can be costly and timely.
Right. So what do you not recommend, but what are the ways a single person, let's say that's the only property they own?
Well, we can go through some of the different ways of holding title and just through the pointers, right? So the first one is community property, right? Married couples, domestic partners, both spouses own 50-50, and they must both sign to sell, right? If one spouse passes, their share goes to their estate, not automatically to their surviving spouse. So that's one thing to note, right? But if you have community property with right of survivorship, that's where it changes, and where you would avoid probate for one, right? Because it would go to that surviving spouse and it would pass on, right? It's not going to go to the estate, right? It would go to that other surviving spouse. You also have joint tenancy. This is where 2 or more people can be on title. It doesn't have to be spouses. So Frank and I could buy a property together and be joint tenants, right?
So wouldn't you just do an LLC if you are doing an adventure like that? I mean, I don't know.
You could, that relates back to estate planning, because LLCs have a different tax liability than individuals.
Got it. Okay. So if you are married, which way to hold title would give you the biggest mess later on? What's the worst thing that you can do if you're married and you take a title?
Well, if you're married in California, if you're married, it's going to be community property unless you specify otherwise.
Okay.
From a tax purpose, community property taxation and community property with right of survivorship, there's different tax strategies, and we're not tax advisors, but I know that that's the case. So it's really important to get with someone who's going to help you in your financial planning and your taxes, especially if you're young and you obviously anticipate your estate's going to grow. Start in the beginning to figure out the best way to manage whatever
so
you have in your assets.
Yeah.
But a trust is the easiest way to avoid probate. And it's, you just set it up, and
it seems like the trust is the winner for you.
It is.
It's probably the next thing that I'm going to do with my own property, because I purchased my property before I married my wife, and we still haven't put it in together, right, on title with her name on. So now we have a trust. Thank you. So, the next step would be to put it in a trust, right? Have a plan, right? A succession plan.
Okay, I like that. Can someone steal the title of your home?
Absolutely.
It's so crazy, right?
So just so people understand, if a document is prepared correctly and it's notarized, whether it's fraudulent or not, it's prepared correctly and it's notarized, and you take it to the county recorder, they will record it. There are no document police that verify, is this you? Who signed this for you?
Got it.
Does Frank have the right to deed this to Alex?
Just record it.
It's their obligation is to record documents that are provided that are prepared correctly and notarized. So anyone can prepare any document and get it notarized if it's recordable. Some things are not recordable. But if it is, anything that's related to a deed would be recorded. And so, yes, very easily. And this happened a lot back in 2005, 6, 7, when the market was really going crazy. There was a lot of fraud that just for that exact reason. Yeah. So it can happen. Yes.
Okay. So
I have a current situation in title going on, if I can share a story,
please.
Where there's this person on title passed away. They held it in a trust. and the successor trustee of that trust recorded the affidavit death of trustee, made that of record, and then they recorded a trust transfer deed, putting it into their own trust. But within 2 weeks' time, there was another affidavit death of trustee recorded by another party stating that they were the successor trustee of that trust.
Who was the party?
It's just, I don't know. I mean, it's another person stating that they were the successor trustee, and now you've got two people stating that. Yeah. That's now recorded and on title, and now we've got a cloud on title because they've got to figure out whether there's also litigation pending now, right? Because one's saying that they're the rightful owner, and the other one's saying that they're the rightful owner, and so we got to see what happens next to who does have the right to sell that property.
Are they both proving it with documents that they are?
That comes down to us as a title company. In the beginning, you're mentioning, how important is the title company? We're the ones who have to verify who is actually the owner and has the right to transfer the property to a buyer, because we're insuring that transaction. Right. So we have to make sure we know exactly who the real parties are that have the right to transfer the title that we can insure.
And we need proof, right? We need a complete copy of the trust, any amendments of that trust. We need to see the signatures. We need to confirm things, right?
So security numbers, yes, things like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
It can happen. It happens, unfortunately, too often.
Right.
That is so scary.
You are listening to Luxury on Call, Season 1, in proud partnership with the Beverly Hills Chamber of Commerce.
When someone else goes into your Netflix account, you get a notification.
Yes,
right. Their ex is using your password. Something like that.
We have something for you.
Yes.
Well, isn't there anything like that?
There is.
As like Frank was saying, anybody could record a document, right? So it's important for you to get notified. Right. Currently, we're speaking about Los Angeles County, right, and properties here. The recorder's office will, within 30 days, mail you a copy of your grant deed, a deed of trust, or within 5 days, mail you a copy of a notice of default or a notice of trustee sale if it gets recorded against your property. That's a long time, right? You want to get notified quickly. So what they've done is, if you register your email, and we'll provide the link in your podcast so that you can share it. Yeah. A homeowner, it doesn't even have to be a homeowner. It could be anybody, right? And you can put as many properties on there as you'd like.
That's fair.
It's public record. So you could get notified on anything that gets recorded against a given property. So maybe you've got, older family members that you want to keep track for that to make sure, right? You could get notified within 48 hours of anything getting recorded against that property.
You have to sign up for it.
You have to sign up for it. You have to register an email. You have to put the property address, the APN, the assessor's parcel number,
right?
And then you get notified. But at least you'll be able to take action a lot quicker than if you were to wait for that mail document to come in. Yeah.
So if you have properties, let's say you're an investor and you have a portfolio of 10, 15 homes, you should be 100% going in and registering all 10 of them, and not just leave it to chat.
And even as Lucas said, if you're, if you have an elderly family members, maybe they may be suffering from some mental issue, memory, you can sign up for them. So if anything happens, you're the one that gets notified, so you can let them know what's going on.
That's incredible.
There's a lot of, unfortunately, elderly people get taken advantage of, unfortunately, with scams and fraud.
I'm so happy you said that. Right. I cannot speak about this transaction because I'm currently in it, but it seems like there were some home trade type of deal, and I feel like because they're older and maybe not necessarily as savvy, they were taking advantage of, and it breaks my heart. So, by the way, very useful tool. Thank you so much. I love that one. I think our listeners are going to appreciate it so much, and my clients for sure. What is there a tool to protect the elderly, or at least help them save money? Or because a lot of the times there's so many things out there that could help you, but you don't know it.
Yeah. I think that this service that we talked about is probably one of the best things. Plus it's free.
Wow.
And so
what is it called? Netflix
it's just called
yeah, exactly. Netflix title.
It's called the Assessor e-notification alert, I think.
Well, no wonder no one. It's not sexy.
Well, I need to rebrand it.
You need to. I'm on it.
Yeah. But there are some services out there for a fee. One of the more commonly known ones is Home Title Lock. Okay. And so they they basically monitor your title. They're looking, they're checking to see if anything gets reported. But I think
But that's for a fee,
That's
right?
for a fee.
it's just completely free. I think that this is the best thing. Everybody should do it if they're a homeowner.
Everybody. And I work with so many investors. They have 5-10 properties. Like, you don't want to pay, it just sucks.
Yeah.
So let's go back to our elderly. Love them so much. If you're 55 years old and older, and you're moving in California, can you save on property taxes?
Yes.
How can we help them out?
Property Prop 19, which was passed, I think, 2 years ago, allows you to transfer your current tax basis. So as an example, my family, we bought our home in 1997.
Okay.
In California, due to Proposition 13, your property taxes will only go up 2% a year if your property is appreciating in value.
Okay.
A lot of other states, every year it gets reassessed based on the current value. In California, it can only go up 2%. Even if your home appreciates 30% in value, they only add on 2% of your tax basis. So I've been in my home almost 30 years. My tax basis is relatively low. I sell my home and I buy a home for $1 million. I'm going to be paying over $12,000 a year in property taxes. If I utilize Prop 19, my current tax basis is just $6,400. So instead of paying $12,000, I'm going to pay $6,400.
Wow.
Just by applying for Proposition 19.
And you can move anywhere?
Anywhere in California.
As long as it's a primary residence.
It has to be your primary residence, and you have to be, you or your significant other one of you has to be at least 55.
You have to be married?
You do not have
I'll go through. Yeah, I'll go through some of the photos, right? So that way, at least, so in order to transfer that taxable value, you have to meet certain qualifications, right? Certain criteria. Like Frank's saying, you have to be over the age of 55. Now, if you're married, it's only one of you that needs to be over the age of 55. So if one's 50, one's 55, it's fine, right? As long as one's over that age. Or severely disabled, or if you were a disaster victim, right? So like with the fires.
Right.
Yeah. Do they know that this is available to them?
I think a lot of them do, right? And I think that's being shared too by a lot of the realtors that are trying to assist these homeowners, with what are their next steps, right? But yes. And then it could be anywhere in the state of California, not just in the same county. And it used to be called something else. It used to be called 19.
It was called Proposition 6090-110.
Oh,
so 60 was the first prop, and then they modified it with Prop 90, and then they modified it again with Prop 110. You can only do it one time, and the value. So, without getting too technical, I sell my home for $900,000.
Okay.
Back when it was before Prop 19, the home I buy can only be $900,000 or less. The value of my new purchase
has to be the
same as the value of the property that I sold. That way the tax basis, the sale price is the same, $900,000. Now with Prop 19, if I sell my $900,000 home and I buy a home for $1.3 million, that $900,000 base, I'm still saving the property tax. I'm paying the same property taxes.
Yep.
And then that $400,000 difference, I'm going to pay the regular normal property tax.
And then tack that on. Yeah.
So you're still saving regardless.
Okay.
So before you can only do it once, you can only buy a home that was equal to or less than the value of the home you sold.
Yeah.
But now you can
buy it up to 3 times anywhere in the state of California. Right. Yeah. And they can be done within
times in your lifetime or 3 times
in your lifetime.
Okay.
Yeah. And it can be done within 2 years of selling your home.
Yeah, but in other words, you're going to sell your home and you're going to build a new home.
Yeah.
And so you sell your home, but you haven't bought the new house yet, right? And then you find the home you want to buy and you buy it. You have within 2 years of the date you sold your home to apply for the Prop 19 tax basis credit. So that gives you 2 years to actually utilize the Prop 19.
All right.
Yeah.
What if I'm not 55 yet? Can you help me save
Marry someone over 55.
I'm not married. I'm not 55. I don't qualify for any of these, but I do own a home. So, there's so many exemptions, but here's the funny part. Unless you know about it,
Right.
it doesn't apply. And I don't know, I feel a certain type of way about that, but knowledge in this case is very powerful. It's power, right? So what are some home exemptions that people don't even know exist? And
there's a homeowner's tax exemption where it can help save, as long as it's their homeowner's primary residence, it can help them save $7,000 off of their assessed value.
Okay.
It does not happen automatically, right? They have to apply for it. And it equates to maybe a few $100 in savings, but it's still savings at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And if it is your primary residence and you don't own another property and that's what you're claiming, you should 100% do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no downside.
Right. And when someone buys a new home, the tax assessor will send them the form to apply for the $7,000 homeowner exemption. So to clarify, that's $7,000. It doesn't mean you're saving $7,000 off your tax bill.
Okay.
So you have a $1 million home and you're going to pay 1.2% of that when you buy it. If you use the $7,000 tax exemption, you're only paying taxes on $993,000. The $7,000 comes off the top.
So, I see.
So basically, we pay 1.2% of our value. So if you take, basically it's around $80 to $90 a year, but it's free. All you have to do is ask.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why can they not make it automatic? I know you don't.
You have to apply.
You have
to
apply. Well, they're just added steps.
Okay.
Well, because maybe it's not your primary residence.
Okay. All right. So
it has to be your primary residence.
I want to talk about a big one.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
I don't know.
Okay. Why? Or it seems to me that Los Angeles is quietly punishing luxury homeowners. Why? What's up with ULA?
Oh boy.
It picks up the glass of.
So refresh myself with that question.
Is it a punishment? Like, what is your take on that?
Well, I mean, originally it was to help with the homeless. Help provide more money for the homeless.
Honorable, yeah, but as it's unfolding, it's
but it just goes to the general fund. So who knows, how that money's being distributed.
Well, you just think.
But yeah, it's
and what it is it's a transfer tax. Right. So in the county of Los Angeles, there's a county transfer tax of $1.10 per thousand, right? That's across the board. But then there's 5 cities within the county of Los Angeles that have a city transfer tax.
Right.
Right. And so those cities are Santa Monica, Los Angeles City, Culver City, Pomona, and Redondo Beach. Yeah. And all of them have their own city transfer tax, and some of them have tiers. So ULA, right, is a new one that was added on several years ago, where now there's different thresholds. And just July 1st, the threshold increased, right? So now if it's right here, there were effective July 1st, 25, the thresholds have changed to 4% of the city transfer tax on amounts from 5.3 million to 10.6 million, or 5.5% on amounts over 10.6 million. So and that seems to be changing every single year. That threshold is going up every single year.
This is brand new. The threshold went up July 1st.
Right.
And this is so important because we are in a buyer's market right now. So sellers are a little bit, having a hard time. They're struggling. And so when you price your property, this is
I have a great story for you related to this. So transaction just closed before.
Don't say any name.
I'm not.
What deal was I the agent?
Unfortunately, you are. But when the listing agent, who was a good client of mine, was talking to me about title costs based on the sale price. The higher the sale price, obviously, the more expensive the title policy. And I said, well, what range are you speaking about? He said, well, we're talking about, $5 million to $5.5 million. And I said, well, just remember, if you sell it for less than $5,300,000, you're going to save your client over $200,000 in transfer value taxes. He's like, oh yeah, I completely forgot about. It's called ULA.
Yeah,
I forgot about ULA, and I said, yeah, so maybe because your buyer's thinking or your seller's thinking I want to get the most money I possibly can for my home, but realize if you do that, you may end up paying a $200,000 basically penalty or tax So they ended up selling it for $5,299,000.
But wouldn't he or she down like a nut sheet anyways? Like what the
Well, they would, but this is in negotiation for the price, right?
pay in the beginning?
You're the buyer's agent. You're offering. I'm representing the seller, and we're going back and forth on the price.
Yeah.
And the seller's thinking, well, I want $5,500,000, right? Well, if you go $5,500,000, you're going to pay $200,000. So if you took it for $5,300,000, it's a wash. You don't have to pay the tax.
Absolutely.
So that's exactly what they did.
That's a great story. I always tell my clients, it's not about how much you sell the property for. It's what you're netting, what you take home, how much you're walking away from. How much you take home.
Yes.
So speaking of, like, not everybody is a good client, as I am. Just kidding. Do you have like a really worst experience or something shocking? You've been in the industry such a long time.
Real shocking. It was shocking at the time. So this is a home that we were involved in. The seller, through their disclosures, let the buyer know that someone had passed away in the home. So the buyer, normally Luke and I, we don't typically deal. We call them the principals, the buyers and the sellers. We deal with
The agent.
you guys, the rates, escrow, the agents, the title folks. We're not really involved with the people who are buying and selling typically. But the listing agent had given my name to the buyer because the buyer was concerned about this death in the home.
Right.
So he reached out to me and said, hey, it's John, and I'm trying to find out, I need to find out everybody who's owned this home and how many people died in the house. And so I said, well, I can tell you how many people own the home because I can do a search, going back to the very first deed recorded. But title companies don't have access to, who has passed away. Well, it's not something that we had access to. Yeah. But I really need to know. And I said, only thing I could suggest maybe is, once I give you all the names, you can do some research, Google, maybe, go to the county recorder, see if there's, but that's not something the title companies offer. And he was a little surprised that that's something I couldn't do. I said, well, we're not privy to who passes away in a home. We're only privy to who the buyer is or who the seller is.
Was he mad or mean?
No, he understood. It took a little bit of
a,
he's reasonable. He understood that it just wasn't something we have the ability to do.
And we can check the chain of title, a public record, and if an affidavit of death gets recorded, right?
But we don't know if they passed away that is in the house.
Well, listen, Frank, if that's the most shocking, worst thing that happened to you, you're in a good life. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
How about the best one? What luxury service that you experienced and you went, oh, that was different?
In title?
No, not just in title. Not now as Luke and Frank living your life.
Boy. Well, I don't.
Do you have a favorite brand or like a place that you like to go to?
I'd say it's like, let's say you're going to go to a resort or a hotel, and they know your name and they greet you and you walk up and you just.
Is there a resort that's that for you?
Well, we've owned a timeshare in Hawaii since 2004.
Which island?
Oh, it's Oahu.
Oahu.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so now that we've been going there for 21 years, it is nice when we check in. Oh, Mr. Wimburn, Ms. Wimburn, so nice to see you back again. So
okay.
It's nice. It's nice to be recognized for sure. Not that we're luxury folks, but we certainly enjoy.
I have some rapid fire questions. It's just like this or that.
All right.
Private chef or private driver?
Private chef.
Chef.
Okay.
That makes more of a difference.
We are in LA. My favorite luxury service is valet, because if you don't have valet, I'm not going.
Park my car.
So to me, that was a hard one for me, but you guys are like private chef immediately.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Modern mansion or historic estate with a character?
Could you combine both?
So they have, having, what you're familiar, on Tuesdays, we all go out to see all the homes that are available for sale. And, I love going into some homes that were built in 1919 or 1920 or 1930 and seeing, all the different ways they built homes, this, how solid they are, different, moldings. And I just love seeing the older, more luxurious homes because a lot of the newer homes today, they look pretty much the same. the same contractors are building these homes.
Same boxes.
Yeah, they
same
have the
blocks.
same floors, they have the same furniture. So it's nice to see. But that for me, that's the luxury side of it. Seeing those homes.
I love a modern home too with the character.
Yeah.
So both the
homes that you had over the one by it's right across from that famous restaurant. It's Carthay Circle. Remember that was on the corner? That was a relatively modern, very nice home.
Yes,
it was
nice.
built a long time ago, but it had been upgraded. It looked really, really nice.
And the current owners are doing amazing additions to it, so that home is gonna be amazing. Okay, which city? Money no object. Where are you buying a home?
Italy.
LA, sir. He went straight to Europe.
Okay,
Italy. That's why you can.
I got family there. Yeah, that'll be the other destination.
Twice from New York. So if we could afford something in Manhattan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but how about LA? Do we like LA? Which city? Yeah, which city?
I'd pick Calabasas.
Okay, call about behind Coast Gate.
Sure.
Okay.
I'd pick the South Bay, either Redondo or Hermosa or Manhattan Beach.
So you go to Manhattan Beach, you're going to the Oaks. Got it. Well, last question. 5-star hotel or first class flight to Europe? I think I know what you're gonna.
First class flight.
Well, I was in the airline business for 16 years, so I flown a lot. Yeah, so for me it would be the hotel.
Okay.
I've been in first class many times.
Okay, well, this would be the question where I say both.
Yeah. I love first class. Don't get me wrong.
That was the best answer.
Yeah. Fly first class to your resort hotel.
There you go.
Yes.
Well, I think we're ready to wrap up. Unless do you want anything our listeners to take away, like number one?
Yeah, if a homeowner has any questions, they can always feel free to reach out to Frank and I or Alex, and she would reach out to us. If you have a question about what's on your chain of title, or you need a copy of your property tax bill or anything like that, we're always happy to help.
Thank you. That's one thing, it blows my mind that I feel like that's the last thing people go through is a title report when they're buying a home. And I get it. It's very emotional. There's a lot to balance, right? You're getting a loan, you're getting a lot, but you always go through that.
Well, this is one of the things, going back to the negative when you talk about luxury service.
Exactly.
I built my business by telling my client, who's the agent, listen, as soon as we have the preliminary title report, I'm going to go over it with you.
Yeah.
So you understand what's in here. And if your client has any questions, I'm happy to go to explain it to your client as well. And that way it gives them some peace of mind. Most of the time, there's really nothing to be concerned about.
Right.
A lot of times there are things to be concerned about. We were talking about this before. Let's say I inherit a home from my grandmother, right? And I don't know what's on title. And so I decide I'm going to refinance my home, and I contact my lender. And they said, oh, well, we ran a title search and we found, Marjorie Winburn has a deed of trust from, 1971 for $70,000. It's on your property. Yeah. It's on your home. Well, I had no knowledge. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So what do? Well, that's where we come involved to help them clear that up through helping record what's called a reconveyance, or a proof that actual loan was paid off.
And that's a great point, because back in the day, the lenders would send to the homeowner that reconveyance that paid in full, that they've, paid off their mortgage, and it was up to the homeowner themselves to record it. And a lot of them would just file it with, in their filing cabinet and not realize that needed to be recorded. So just like in that instance, if someone does have one of those and isn't sure, we can always check. And you want to get that of record, so that way we're not having to deal with an old deed of trust from 30, 40 years ago.
Amazing. Yeah. Very good. Well, I think that's a wrap on today's episode. Luca, Frank, thank you for seriously drawing some amazing knowledge to me as well, and refreshing my memory on things, and to our listeners, our homeowners, soon to be homeowners, investors. I took so much away, and we are going to create that title toolbox for the homeowners to keep them out of title trouble. That's a lot of tease. With my accent especially. Well, thank you so much for being here, and
thanks you for having me.
Absolutely. Stay fabulous, informed, and we are always just a call away, and I hope you come back again.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in. Let's connect on all socials. And as always, head to callthelistingagent.com to elevate your estate and lifestyle. See you next time.